I can't wait with that. How'd you hurt your shoulder? Well, let me tell you about Amber. Just ripped it out of its socket. Jack my rotator cuff all up.
His rotator cuff, give death threats to the head of HR. Good girl, you just set things on fire since you've been here.
Trying to fill in your predecessor sheet.
Just trying to settle in. It was mine and your tag that the head of communications got away with certain amount of stuff.
We did have the audio server drop out, so I rebooted, so. We'll see how tonight goes.
It's all good. That's what I got for it. Get interesting here.
Hey, Rose, I had to reboot the audio server.
Okay.
Sorry, I unplugged it and plugged it back in the other room. I've rebooted that computer and it's reconnected to the room audio, so I think we're good there. It wasn't recording anyway, so there's no impact to you, but just be aware that I did reboot it.
Okay, I saw the door was open and I was gonna ask you, I shut it and locked it.
Thank you. Yeah, I left it open until I was sure it was fixed.
Okay.
Hello, hello, hello.
Well, we'd like to welcome all listening or viewing this meeting of the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities, whether in person or through technology. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio. During the visitors' comment section of the agenda, community members who wish to speak to the board will be asked to provide their name and will then have 3 minutes to speak. Members of the public using Zoom that wish to address the board need to use the raised hand feature at the bottom of the application or window to signal that they wish to address the board during the visitor comment section. In addition, there will be a public comment section after the general manager staff reports. During this section, the public may comment on this evening's presentations. Now, members of the public connected by phone only need to press the *9 to indicate they wish to address the board in the visitors' comment section. Those attending in person should sign up on the sign up sheet that's located near the entry. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and should be directed to the board. As these comments are public, the board cautions visitors to not disclose confidential account information or information on an account that is not in their name. Staff will not provide individual account information or history in an open meeting. As always, the public can also email or call the BPU with any concerns. The agenda and presentations may be found on the BPU website, or if you're using Zoom, they will appear on your screen. As a reminder, this is a business meeting of the Board of Directors, and we will conduct the meeting accordingly. Following the rules apply to this meeting. Every person in this room will act respectively towards each other. Personal attacks and accusations towards any person will not be tolerated. State your specific issue to the board only. We'll then determine staff's involvement, and attendees shall refrain from side discussion or individual commentary that interferes with speakers or other attendees at this meeting. If side discussion is necessary, please take it outside of the boardroom. If any of the rules above are breached during the meeting, that individual is subject to removal from the boardroom. My name is David Haley. I'm member at large for position number 2 and board president. Other members of our board and staff include Jeremy Ash, our general manager, Tom Groneman, 2nd District, Stevie Wakes Sr., 1st District, Brett Parker, the 3rd District, and our board secretary, Mary Gonzalez, member at large, position number 1, Rose Mulvaney Henry, member at large, position number 3, and our board vice president. Angela Lawson is our acting chief counsel. Please remember to put your phones on silent. Please also be aware that the microphones are very sensitive and can pick up and record comments made anywhere in the room. So before we begin our meeting, please rise and join me in reciting our Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We state the mission, the BPU, is to focus on the needs of our customers to improve the quality of life in our community while promoting safe, reliable, and sustainable utilities. Ms. Lawson, would you please call the roll?
Roll call, Wakes,
Present.
Mulvaney Henry,
Here.
Parker,
Here.
Gonzalez,
Here.
Groneman,
Here.
Haley.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Before I ask for a motion to approve the regular session agenda of March 19th, 2025, are there any comments on the agenda? Hearing or seeing none, I'll listen to any motion.
It's Rose, I second.
Moved and seconded. Please roll call.
Roll call, Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you. Before I ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the work session of March 5th, 2025, are there any comments?
I move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. If we could, roll call.
Roll call, Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you. And so before I ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session of March 5th, 2025, are there any comments?
Wakes move to approve. Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you. Now hand the meeting over to our general manager, Jeremy Ash.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chris, is there anybody signed up to speak? Thank you, Rob. Thank you, sir. At this time, I would call Andrew up. He's gonna give you the preliminary January financials.
Thank you, Rob. Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Andrew Ferris. I am the Chief Financial Officer here at BPU. Appreciate your time. So today I am here to present the January 2025 preliminary financial results. So want to start off a little bit with the 2025 build KWH. So this is the volume on the electric side. On a combined basis, the volume across the residential, commercial, and industrial class is down about 3.5% from prior year. Residential is up 2%. Residential is primarily up because we've had higher heating degree days in January than is typical. It was about 12% higher than average and about 3% higher than 2024. So we have had back-to-back years of lower than normal temperatures in January. So that affects the residential class a lot more than it does the other classes. Commercial is down about 3% and the industrial class is down about 12%. Overall, the large customer group is down about 4% on average, excluding General Motors. So the really big driver is the General Motors change that we knew was coming. And General Motors is about down 32% year to date compared to 2024. On a volume basis, we did predict about a 33% decline for the year. And so right now we're right in line with where we would expect that volumes to come in. Next slide, please. On a CCF front, so this is the water volume side. On a combined basis, we are down about 7.3% from last year, with residential being down about 6%, commercial down about 8%, and the industrial class down about 9% from the previous year. Really, again, in this class, the largest customer group on average is actually up 1% when excluding General Motors, with General Motors down about 40% on a water volume standpoint from 2024 levels. Next slide. So on the revenue side, on a combined basis, revenues are up about 10.6% from the prior year. Again, we're just talking about January versus January of 2024. And versus budget, we are up about 9.8% above budget. When we look at the electric side compared to budget, residential is up about $254,000. Commercial is down about $204,000. Industrial down about $338,000. Schools are up about $52,000. And really the big driver in this class is the wholesale is up about $2.7 million. So the production group had a really productive January, produced a lot of volume output off the Nearman plant and really all the facilities. And then margins were really good in January as well. So it produced a good wholesale sales rate. On the water side, we were up about 3% over budget. Residential is up about $85,000. Commercial up about $49,000. Industrial is right on par with budget, and wholesale is up about $19,000 versus budget. Next slide, please. On the operating expense standpoint, on a combined basis, we are down about 23.2% from 2024. So expenses have come in way lower than 2024. And on a budget standpoint, we are about 5% below budget for January. When we look at individually, electric is down about 5% below budget on the expense side, and water is down about 12%. Next slide, please. When we look at operating expenses less depreciation, on a combined basis, we are down about 26.1% versus prior year, and down about 7.3% versus budget. On the electric side, comparing versus budget, purchase power is about $3.5 million less than 2024. Fuel is up about $4.2 million. Production is down about $927,000 from budget. Transmission and distribution down about $541,000, and general and administrative expenses are down about $119,000 versus budget. On the water side, production is down about $121,000. Transmission and distribution down about $159,000, and general and administrative expenses are about $112,000 below budget. Next slide, please. So from a change in net position standpoint, it was a really good month. On a combined basis, we did gain about $6.56 million in net position. We did have a budget of about $1.54 million. So from a January perspective, that's a really solid month in terms of change of net position. Next slide, please. So as we look at these next couple slides, what you'll see is on the electric side here that revenues exceeded operating and non-operating expenses. This is traditionally what you would expect, and that's traditionally the trend. But if you look at 2024, that was the opposite case. And so in 2024, operating expenses exceeded operating revenue in the month of January. But this year, we got back on track of what traditionally is the case where operating revenues exceed operating expenses. Next slide, please. And then on the water side, this is the same trend we've seen over the last 4 years. Again, operating revenue is exceeding operating expenses. So that's a good trend to have, and that's what it should look like, generally speaking. Next slide. So this is the average daily collections. This is what we bring in on an average day based off all the revenue that comes in. And so this year we averaged about $1.76 million per day. You can see that's down close to $100,000 from what we brought in 2024 and 2023, but really right in line with what we'd expect for this time of year. And so really solid number, no issues there. Next slide. So this is really the historical monthly cash comparison. And so this is showing, up or down, how does cash move on a monthly basis. And you can see there in January, we did dip. And like I mentioned, we are about $1 million short of where we were in December. But January is typically a tough month for us. Expenses generally are higher. Revenue numbers are lower coming in from late fall. So this is really a good month for us, being down just over $1 million. So that's a solid indication of where we're at. Next slide, please. So on a cash position basis, as I mentioned before, we are at 75.39 million, which is about $1 million plus down from December when we were sitting at $76.74 million. But one of the interesting things is if you look at the days of cash on hand, we were at 126 days as of December 2024. We actually climbed to 128 days in January, even though cash went down. And that's really a reason of the expense side equation lowered, right? We have a rolling 12-month expense average. And so January 2024 was very expensive on the purchase power side, and January 2025 was much better. And so therefore, the expense side of the equation is actually lowered, and we dropped off January 2024. So that'll be a benefit all year in terms of the days of cash when we look at the days of cash perspective. One note is the fuel inventory itself. So we currently sit about $5.535 million in fuel inventory in January. In January 2024, we sat at 10.858. So as you can see over that last 12 months, about $5 million of that cash balance did come from fuel directly. And so we are a little bit on the low side in fuel. I would expect that to tick up over the next few months. Probably not get back up to the 10.9 range, but probably tick up a little bit there. And so part of that is some of the indication as to where some of the cash came from is directly from the fuel that we had on the ground previously. So next slide, please. But really, this is just a look at the historical days of cash on hand. As I mentioned on the previous slide, we did move from 126 to 128 days of cash. And really, we want to stay kind of above that 120 days ballpark. Really, one of the reasons we want to stay above that 120 days mark is really for credit purposes. And so when we go out to credit agencies and those type of things, as we look forward, that's a really tough benchmark to go below. So we have some other challenges that we want to maintain. So 120 days of cash is the level that we want to maintain going forward. So we're in a really good position of where we sit today. And so we will see that trend line start to tick up here over the next few months. Next slide, please. On a capital spending standpoint, we did spend about $2.59 million in January. Last year, we only spent $1.07 million. So we did see an uptick in capital spending for January. With that said, we do have a budget of $56.67 million for the full year. And so we do have 95% of that capital budget remaining. So we're in fine shape there. Most of that spending obviously comes in warmer months when the guys can get out in the field better. And so we do expect more of that to get used during the summer and fall months. So we're in good shape there. Some of the major projects we see in 2025 are annual overhead and underground construction, annual meter program, distribution pole inspections that you've heard about. Overhead and underground transformers continue to be an expense we have. On the electric production side, we do have a major upgrade on the CT2 and CT3 control system. There's an upgrade there. On the water side, we have water main replacement that continues to be an expense moving forward. We have the parallel pump station improvements, and then we have the water operations, Kansas River crossing are all some of the major projects we see in 2025. Next slide, please. On the debt coverage front, we do have a financial guideline target of 2.0 times with Pilot. On the electric basis, we are at 3.09. water is 3.05, and on a combined basis, we are at 3.21 times. And on the financial guideline target, we have a target of 1.6 times without pilot. And with the electric group, we're at 2.37 times, water at 2.39 times, and on a combined basis, we're at 2.47 times. So we're in really good shape on the debt coverage standpoint. We expect this to continue moving forward. And so 2025 should be a solid year for our debt coverage. And on that note, I'll take any questions anyone may have.
Rob, would you roll back to slide 12, please, just really quickly? Fuel inventory, Andrew talked about, just, this is really attributable, I think, two things. One, the strong run times, but also two, that team at Electric Production has put a lot of thought into how we operate the unit, what we actually need to have around here, and putting that strategy into place. And so when I looked today, we had about 36 days of coal laying on the ground. And that's great, because we're running right into an outage. We're going to build that reserve up over that outage time the next couple of months and be fully capable to take on the full summer. So, as you can remember in years past, we've fought sometimes how much fuel we had for the plant, and, some stress with the rail contracts and that kind of thing. But the team down there has dug in and put together a great strategy. And I think you're seeing the benefits of that in some of this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
When is the outage plan? When's the planned outage? Do you know?
It's April 12th or something like that, somewhere in the front part of April.
Yeah, I think we have a 3-week on Nearman. We have a longer one on CT4. So that continues to ongo, but Nearman's the major one, and I think it's 3 weeks in April. So hopefully a good time, right? We try to avoid summer, winter, and with some of those obligations with SPP, it's hard to hit those times, but everybody's trying to push them in on those spring and fall months. So it is difficult, but they do a good job, and we do have that upcoming in April. So thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, I wanted to ask one quick question. Sorry, I had to step out. In terms of the ripple effect out of GM, I mean, is there any foreseeability as to what those projections will be as they continue to be down? Have they updated anything from that, or that we can look? Because it's a significant difference in what we have. So is there anything further?
It is. I have not heard any updates from General Motors directly. We did do some forecasting previously before they came offline. And again, on a volume basis, we were projecting about a 33% drop in total consumption levels on the electric side. And right now they've dropped about 32. We will see in February, they'll drop a little bit higher than that. One of the things on the electric side, which is a little bit different than the water side, is there is a ratchet program in terms of the way rates work. And so really, even though we lose, I'll say 33% on the volume basis, you won't lose 33% on the revenue basis. So the revenue will fall slower than the volumes will fall, because on the demand side, you really pull from the previous summer. And so a lot of the demand charges will be based off the previous summer's usage levels. And so that'll make the revenue piece fall slower than the actual volume numbers will fall. So that's why, so we do that because we have to cover enough resource adequacy to cover the summer months. And so therefore, that's why electric uses summer as that ratchet on the demand side for those larger customers. And so it does protect us when companies, I'll say, don't use as much in the winter months, because we do have to carry that resource adequacy for the full 12 months. And so it will protect us in this case on some of the revenue side as well. So
That's good to know. Brief follow-up. So this isn't your bailiwick, but has the UG done by that which we're required to pull down for them? Have they kind of given some adjustments or do you know if they've given some preliminary adjustments for?
Yes.
we
So
should be?
we did have talks, and it's been a few months back at this point, but we did give them some indication of what we believe some of those revenue figures were. And so I do think they use that in some of their forecasting in terms of what they would expect from a pilot revenue standpoint. So Again, and our forecasts are only as good as the information we have. And so, those were just forecasts that we had developed based off of some of the information that we were able to uncover. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Very pleased that the way in which they forecasted to pretty much right on spot on.
Yeah.
Very good.
Less than 1% differential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I think most of you are familiar with this, but, we do have spots, on the KMEA Board of Directors. And so those spots only last for so many years and they're a little bit staggered. And so, we have resolution 5310 here, to reset our seats on the Board of Directors because of the, just the normal cadence of how that happens. I think Rob is trying to get it pulled up.
Could you, for, just for the benefit of the people that are listening and maybe for some of the newer board members, what does KMEA stand for?
Thanks.
It's the Kansas Municipal Energy Agency. And so it's sort of a joint action agency that helps serve, smaller communities that can't afford to have a utility company. And they really merge those communities together and they perform maintenance on their systems, but they also provide their resource. They provide, they import the energy. They do own some of their own small but the agency actually owns it, and they cost share the maintenance activities and things of that nature. They balance, the load a little bit across the system for them. So. And so this is the resolution number 5310, asking that Andrew Ferris be seated as the Chief Financial Officer's BPU as one of the directors. So we would entertain a motion for that.
Ms. Rose, I move to approve resolution number 5310.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call, Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And my term is up as well. So second part of the resolution is just reaffirming my appointment to the same board, which I'm currently serving.
So moved. Wait second.
Roll call.
I don't believe we need one, but I'll go ahead and
Oh.
do one because it was done under the same resolution.
And let me, point of information, I'm looking at the resolution. It doesn't have a date on it. It says 19th day of March, but no year, just a,
It's
Applies
right
back.
there. Oh, you're looking about up there. Yeah.
okay, there's one at the bottom, but not the top. I was looking at the
Yeah.
first line, but it would be there. Okay. All right.
I can call roll if you'd like, but I think it was handled under.
Well,
the
there was a
bylaws.
motion and second, but
Okay,
if they want to withdraw the,
I'll
the
just roll,
motion.
roll call, Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have Steve Nerschel here. And I think most of you know Steve, but Steve is director down at the award-winning Nearman Water Treatment Plant. So he's here to provide a quick update and present something to the board that is
Excuse
pretty
me.
special.
Mr. President, point of order on the agenda. We had a resolution 5311 that we needed to entertain. Sorry, Mr. General
Yeah,
Manager.
that's my oversight. Steve, if you would
All the same time.
hang out a minute.
That award's still gonna be there.
Yeah.
Um, before you is what you've discussed and worked on in the work sessions. Resolution number 5311, resolution by the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities and Administrative Agency of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, revising and replacing the board rules of procedures. Whereas the elected board had previously adopted board rules of procedures, and whereas after elected board discussion of said board rules of procedure, the elected board wishes to make updates to said policies, and whereas the updated board rules of procedures are attached here too. Now therefore be it resolved and ordained by the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities that the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities hereby replaces the previous board rules of procedures in its entirety and replaces it with the updated board rules of procedure attached here too. The board rules of procedure will be effective of March 24th, 2025. Adopted by the governing board of the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities this 19th day of March 2025.
This is Rose. I would move to approve resolution number 5311 with the corrected board rules of procedure that were corrected following the edits that were made from the work session.
Wait, second?
Thank you. Any discussion? Further discussion? Roll call.
Roll call, Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Groneman.
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
That motion carries.
And thank you, Madam Vice President, for making sure that we address that on the agenda. Appreciate it.
My apologies for the oversight. We just couldn't wait to get to this. But it is a pretty special award, and I think Steve's going to give you a little history on it and then present it to the board.
Yeah, so if you guys remember, in August of last year, I did a presentation on the Partnership for Safe Water, so you could go back and look at that. Didn't probably need to redo it again tonight, but at the time, AWWA was shorthanded, didn't have a lot of staff. They were kind of going through some attrition, and the awards got delayed, so the awards just actually got here last month, even though we celebrated it somewhat last year. But something I did, just wanted to kind of talk about again is, the Partnership for Safe Water is a completely volunteer program. And it's, there's several organizations like EPA and AMWA that all make up this joint organization. And what they do is they, treatment plants or now they have distribution, but we go every year, we're asked to put together kind of like a, kind of a report of how we've done in our treatment. In addition to that, we have goals that we try to set, individual goals and performance that we try to make within our plant. And so that's something that we've been doing for 15 years. So the Partnership for Safe Water, the maximum award you could get to date is 25 years. So we've been, we got a long history in this. And the unique thing about it is that they only give that award every 5 years. So in last year in ACE, we was able to get this award, and it just kind of shows, we out of 15-year recipients, there was only 4 utilities, and KCBPU was top on that list, and then two water treatment plants from Pennsylvania and one from South Carolina. So again, we didn't have the award, and I've got it, and it can replace the old 5-year that's in there. I don't know what happened to the 10-year, but this is the 5. I'm presented to the board. So I don't know, Jeremy, you. Yeah, you were.
Hold on, really quick. A second.
Yes, I do. All right. Just one last note is, I wanted to say is that our water treatment plant's coming up on its 25th anniversary this year. So the Nearman Water Plant's been there for 25 years. It rolled into production in May of 2000. And here we are. we'll be celebrating National Drinking Water Week, which is the first week of May. So this year will be 25. So it's kind of special because that plant's, still looks, we try to take good care of it. It still looks pretty new, and we hope to keep it around for another 100 years. But I think it's kind of neat that we're hitting that 25-year mile mark. So that, I'll shut up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. One other thing I would add about Nearman Water Treatment Plant is, not only is it a fantastic facility, and those of you who've been there, it's just impressive. But last year, the Nearman Water Treatment Plant went the full 365 days with no recordable injuries or accidents at that facility. So super proud of that. We're working hard on our safety culture, the help of all of the executives across the divisions, Abby Fry and her team, Dennis Dumovich, Jeff Rye, Teresa Steele. Last year in 2024, the Nearman Power Plant was the highest recorded incident facility, and they have just celebrated 100 days incident injury free, and I think they're on 106 today. So they've taken it to heart, taken up the challenge, and they're working hard to get there as well. And then lastly, for my comments, Lee Mulholland is here. We just finished up our audit with MRO, and we came through that audit completely clean. I think the first time in a number of years that we haven't had any recommendations or findings. So Lee's team did a great job of shepherding that process, took a lot of collaboration with a number of the other divisions, but that's also worthy of mention here tonight too. So thank you, Lee, to you and your team that put that all together, and all the hard work they do all year and throughout the audit period to make sure we were compliant.
Yeah.
And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Very good. Excellent. Well, we're at the public comment section. Is there anyone who's present who wishes to speak to one of the agenda items that we have just covered? Anyone here? No? Please come forward and your name and service address. And again, this
Good
part is,
evening.
this part,
My name
ma'am,
is Fannie Hill,
Yeah.
resident of Wyandotte County. You were saying something about the policies and procedures change. I couldn't hear. I was doing the best I could to hear. Is there any way you could get a copy of that?
Yes, I believe that will be a matter of public record, the new policies that will be in place. Matter of fact, that's a question that I had earlier too, is what notice would be afforded the public. I believe that will be available on the website. All right, on the website, and I'll see if we can get some printed copies as well, beyond having it bpu.com. Do you have any idea when those might be posted, Ms. May? When we'd update the website? Okay. After tomorrow, they would be there, ma'am. And again, I'll try to get some printed copies as well.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate the work that you all are doing, such a great job. But I truly hope that I would have seen something by now to unite you all with the commissioners to work together to try to get those utility bills down to where the minute you look at the bill, there's $100.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm a landlord in this community and I have rental property
We will.
and I have two bills. One is for vacant property, $137.
Ms. Hill?
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, at this point of the program, I'm sorry, we are really just discussing those areas that we went over, the financials and the water, and of course, the resolutions that were adopted here, but there will be an opportunity at some point subsequent at the beginning.
I
of it
appreciate
for
that, Senator.
If we can.
I appreciate that. I would like to
appreciate
discuss that either after the meeting with any of the board members, if
Thank you,
that's
ma'am.
okay.
We appreciate it. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
sir.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Camp, Anybody online? Okay, thank you. Well, at this point then, we're looking for any comments from the board, because we're moving down the line, and we'll begin with Vice President Mulvaney Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very brief comments this evening. Thank you very much for the financial presentation, Andrew. Appreciate it. And congratulations, obviously, to the entire water department on, the award. It's actually remarkable. The safety record you all have is remarkable. We, as residents here, we often overlook the reliability and the safe utilities that we have. And, because sometimes they hurt our pocketbooks. We know that this does come at a cost, and we appreciate y'all's diligence in everything y'all do over at the water department. So thanks, appreciate it, Steve. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Mulvaney Henry. Ms. Gonzalez.
Also want to thank Andrew for your presentation for the preliminaries, and also Steve, congratulations on 365 days of safety, and also for getting a look at that award that we got last year. Appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Mr. Parker.
Risk of being repetitive here. Really, Steve, I hope that you carry the congratulations of the board back to the whole team on a job well done on multiple fronts that we got to hear about tonight. Andrew, appreciate all of the presentation tonight, and we look forward to continuing to hear from you on the financial front.
Mr. Parker. Mr. Secretary, thank you, sir. Mr. Wakes.
Yes, sir. Again, I reiterate what was stated earlier regarding the fine presentation by Andrew, and also the congratulations to the water department. And Steve, thank you so much for providing that beautiful post plaque to us that we might observe the award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Wakes. Mr. Groneman.
Yeah, again, I would just like to echo the former board members' comments. Thank Steve and the water department for the good work that they do, and thank the people down at the power plant for the work that they're doing as far as safety goes. And again, Andrew, it was for your first time, you did a remarkable job, and you shed some insight that that we'd maybe forgotten about. So thank you for your presentation. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Groneman. And I certainly want to echo on the first full presentation that you had, Mr. Ferris. Thank you, Andrew Ferris, for covering our financials. Very well done, and letting us know where we are. And to Steve as well. Coincidentally, my first time at a conference, AWWA, when it was presented, and I was just blown away with not only the pride that we should have, but the respect that KCK BPU has for these many years, this award that's here today. I was coincidentally honored to have been there for that presentation, and just so glad to see it come to fruition now and to have us in front of us. Congratulations on the accomplishment again. We'll look forward to it. Let me just say in general that I can be reached if anyone has any other questions here or wherever in the public at dhaley@bpu.com to try and get some of the things that we have on the agenda therein addressed as we might, and greatly appreciate everyone that's here tonight. And are there any further comments anyone would care to bring? I do want to say again, thank you for the new procedures that the board has adopted in the resolution. I think it's going to streamline and make more efficient much of what we do and more accessible. As again, I reiterate our mission statement here. I'm glad to see them come to fruition and that they were adopted by the board. Is there anything further to come before the board or come before the meeting here? If not, I would be open to any motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Wait a second.
It's moved and seconded. We have a motion. If you would, please roll call.
Roll call, Wakes.
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Groneman.
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
That motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.